Right, let's get this going. Got my chess image in the background. Now I'll just change the thing to spring. There we go. I forgot who made Spring in the end. Was it like some Swedish team? Let me just have a look up. TA Spring. Let's find out. Spring RTS engine. About. Oh, there's actually a web page about it. There's like about games and so about. Spring is a versatile 3D RTS game engine using extensively LUA for scripting game-specific code to make nearly every aspect of the game customizable, from GUI to unit AI to pathfinding. I've never looked at a script for it. I would, if somebody, let's just have a look at the games. So there's 0K, Spring 1944, Evolution RTS, Kernel, Panic on the Edge, Metal Factions, The Curse, Journey War, Proprietary, Conflict Terror, Star Wars Imperial Winter, Spring Mech Commander Legacy Project, and TA Derived, Balanced Annihilation, no TA. Let's have a look at the TA Derived. Balanced Annihilation is a fan modded TA that evolved out the TA Demo Recorder. I forgot about the TA Demo Recorder. It aims to build on graphics and balance the original. Balanced Annihilation gameplay develops in stages, progressively heavy units of growing economy. Mainly strategies are viable in BA, focusing on map control, aggression, defense, air power, blah 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 blah. NOTA, not original Total Annihilation, is a rethink of Total Annihilation universe with focus on strategic base-oriented gameplay. With its revised unit scale, huge battles erupt, engaging hundreds of units, scores of unit types. NOTA's completely rethought NC gameplay forces participating in ornaments, places the tide of conflict in your hands. Total Annihilation Prime, highly polished prequel to Total Annihilation, with a full-blown tech tree, unit bits, and strong rock paper scissors countering system. Can you be quiet? Look, if I start, then we'll stop with the music, can we? You know what? On the one hand, I think to myself, yeah, you know what? Good for you. You're doing like a prequel to Total Annihilation and expanding on like the lore and doing things differently, and that's kind of cool. But how do you make like old units seem like cool, but at the same time not better than modern units? Don't know how you do that. But the rock paper scissors, I don't like that countering scheme. I really like how TA was a simulation, and it's like, you know what? Laser turrets and artillery, not good anti-aircraft weapons, but they can actually work. I have seen artillery hit aircraft. It's fun when it happens. Tech Annihilation, the game is bigger, greater, more epic. XTA, now that's the one I remember. Redeveloped Total Annihilation game by Swedish, that's the ones. Swedish Yankspankers, that's the group that made Spring. XTA is the original public game release of the first versions of Spring. Development of this game by SY has stopped a while ago, but it's still played and actively developed by the community. Cool. Alright. So I'd probably be looking at Balanced Annihilation if I wanted to have a look at scripts, and that is a very very sorry. It just is the sound of that is just, it's making me feel like I want to toast some marshmallows or something. So anyway, have we got yeah, we got a factory. So I think I should build got a few more factories now that I've been advancing through the campaign. I've been playing the game offline, but also so I can listen to the Richie Milker stream, because that's not YouTube friendly. And
Warzone active.
so yeah, at some point I probably
Warzone paused.
disarming artillery. Okay, I don't know what that is, but hey ho. At some point, I probably will have a look at Balanced Annihilation, just so I can go, so that's how LUA scripts differ from the proprietary and very straightforward scripting language that was in Total Annihilation. It was beautiful, all done with text, all easily human readable. Like, let's say I wanted to make a laser weapon. Render type would be a certain number. I forgot what the number is, but there was a few like pre-built renders which were excellent, really good renders. Oh yeah, let me just go ahead and make some construction robots whilst I. So like one type was a. If I remember correctly, you would have what would you have? Lasers, lightning, flamethrower, small projectile, large projectile, and some different. And then you would then go on to describe the laser's colour, and that was an 8-bit integer. So you could have all sorts of different colours, provided it was within 8 bits. You'd then just say projectile range, rate of fire, damage. So each projectile, because everything was a projectile, and then you would have, I think it was draw distance for lasers. That was a laser specific one. So some people, they would try to make beam lasers, and the way they do it is to have it be very rapid fire, and they'd have the draw distance be very long, like 1 second or so. The problem is if you were attacking a fast moving target, you'd see like multiple lines of laser beams, and you could kind of see like, oh, that's actually just a projectile with a long trail. Whereas in there's actual proper beam weapons. Like these are proper beams. You see, as these move along, you see like the beams just move with them. So I like that. Anyway, let's set these guys on the patrol. And these are my construction robots. Now, as you can see, I have a shortage of metal. Yeah. So anyway, are we done here? I think we are done here. So let's just go ahead and build. I'm going to tell these guys to build metal extractors. Now, whilst they're going and doing that, and I'll have orders to patrol this area like so. And then units, well, we'll just do peak build of everything. But a lot of a shield walker, that's kind of cool. Oops. Oh no, that's one of mine, that's fine then. I mean, that unit's from the core contingency, it looks different, but it's the same thing. What are you, fighters? Shielded assault box. Hey, that's good. You got him, now finish him off. Come on, finish him off. I could do with some anti-air. There we go. That's that dealt with. Oh, cool. So it fires disarming rockets. And all of this, I'm good. So actually, the way to, because of Smart Select, I have to click on it individual, but I'll make those low priority, and then you guys, you're just normal priority. So let's have a look at the commander. Yep, there he is. He's building that, like so. And you know what? I would like another factory. So let's see. Not Striders, Amphibots, not particularly useful. To get there. So you can't get there because it's impassable lava. Right, so factory, we're going to have gunships. And then we'll have a couple of... you know what, let's just have energy pylons. They're useful. God, that does sound like burning charcoal. Oh, my allies already... We really want some anti-air in there. So we'll have our gunships, yeah. So, and now let's go for some defence. We'll have a long-range anti-air there, there, and there, like so. And then defence will go for some anti-air turrets here, 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 and here, like so. And then defence will also have some flak turrets. There we go. What's that noise? Destroy the metal storage depot before 8 minutes is up. So we're 5 minutes in. Let's see if I can... So sending my units in now. And I'd like you to disarm that swarm turret. That's it. Blow it up. That's a lot of health. But you got you in the end. There we go. So I'm sending them all back. The little bit I've got. Air superiority fighter, that's what it is. You can be group 3. And what's group 2 up to? They're still building energy pylons, that's fine. Along with some anti-air. And that's my resources under attack. What's the commander? He's up to doing nothing. Right, so factory. I can't build. I'll have Amphbot. Those are good because they got a nice big one. And then we'll just do some caretakers like so. Some caretakers there. And then economy, we'll have not caretakers, sorry, storage. So I'll do line of storage like so. And there's nothing there, so let's go ahead and just do that. And now they should all be, yep, so they're going to build some energy producing buildings first. But then hopefully they'll go and build some metal extractors there. One would hope. So now I should be building some anti-air over here. And that's a geothermal vent. Oh, once these guys get done, I'm going to build geothermal. That's exactly what I want. Now the Allies built a caretaker there that can repair stuff that's on patrol. And this should help along with air incursions. Oh, I had to destroy both metal storage depots. Never mind. So let's have a look. What am I... Yep, they're building metal extractors. Very good. And then there's 2 spots here which are unclaimed. So if I do that, and let's say attack move there. Let's do a patrol there. No, don't need that. Come on, you've got a shield. Yeah, protect the behind their shield there. And you're doing nothing? Don't know why you're doing nothing, so just carry on moving. Oh, and you're attacking that, that's good. And he's just building the storage like I asked him to. Let's go ahead and if I get that done, that should help us somewhat. So you go all back here, like so. And then I need some more defense in here. So let's go and have some anti-swarm turrets, like so. Yep. And then in addition to that, we'll have caretakers. There we go. And now if I have a look here, I should be able to do that. Just do some light defences here. And special radar towers, like so. And they're under attack. My hope is the Allies will help out with that. Let's have another factory. Let's Strider. No, I can't afford that. Plus, the only one I've got is the only Striders I have are battleships. Oh, nearly lost all my wasps. So now let's go ahead and make some more defense. Let's have let's have EMP turrets that go like that. Just do a repeat build there, like so. And send my commander back just for safety's sake. You know what? I'm so close to this. Let's just go ahead and just say keep attack moving there. Let's go and kill the Strider. I don't think I'm winning this. Wait, I am winning it. Got their Strider. Nice. Right, everyone go back. Let's not give any more resources to the enemy than what I have to. Oh, yeah. You're my friends. Victory! Ah, that wasn't too bad. I've got a personal shield. Oh, okay. Cannot be used with... nice. And I've got Rocketeer. So now, if I go to my commander, I'll replace that with a personal shield like so. Got anything better? No, I think that's pretty good. More high power, so I like him to be a bit faster. So we'll just take away some of this stuff like so. There we go. Oh. Hey, look! You can put a battleship up on the mount, and then it'll be able to hit stuff there. Although the terraformation tools. Right. So what have I come into? There's some units. Yeah. Cool. Got some units, and it wants me to defend that, which is a nuke interceptor site. Now, Commander, you go ahead and build that. Yeah, that's good. And we'll have some welders. And there's a nuclear silo there. It wants me to build 7 Minotaurs within 15 minutes. Cool, well, a lot of stuff's happening that I don't really understand. So I'm just going to build a... Oh. They have artillery, so those aren't useful because of artillery. So let's go ahead and build a caretaker, and then we'll build some energy pylons because pylons are useful. Connect that to the same energy grid like so, and connect there, connect that to that. Now I probably could benefit from, I mean I saw them use a bit of air, so yeah, do that. And I don't know, some radars, yeah. Yeah, so they're just going to carry on using artillery. Right. This is done. So repeat build. Go here. And then orders. I want you to patrol, 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 like so. No. Orders. Go there. And then patrol, patrol, patrol. Units. Oh, Minotaur, general purpose artillery, flak anti-air. Right, so mostly we'll have tanks. But I'm also going to have, where are they? Rovers. And you're going to be high construction priority, which is no good against their look, you might as well get back. Can't build there. Now, I saw they're using a fair bit of aircraft, so Let's just increase the amount of anti-air. Buggy got killed that as well. Oh,
War zone paused.
you know what? This is one where I need a little bit of the Lend-Lease program, as it is. So let's just get this going. So we'll have the Lend-Lease, and then pop.
War zone active.
Do that. Like so. And group 2's there. Here's my artillery. Nuke is launched, and I'm defending this, which is a strategic nuke interception system. So, alright, cool. So there you are. Right, so in addition to that, we'll do factory. Build 2 adjacent to you, that looks so. And then once you're done with that, I want you to build more caretakers. Some masons in addition to the welders, as they're called. And you can't get up there? Okay, that's not a problem. Just build a line of solar there. That's a lot of energy demand. But anyway, you're here, so now orders go patrol, patrol, patrol. And then let's have one of everything. Oh, so wait, these demand... Ah, that's what's demanding so much energy. Oh, well there goes my army. Doing a fair bit of storage as well. And then more factories. That's how to change it. Caretakers in there as well, like so. Let's move attack. Oh. That's it, just keep on getting through. Come on, I can smash through to the nuclear silo. Got ya. Oh well. That's how to do it. Heat ray. Rapidly melts anything at short range to use the damage over distance. Cool. So anyway, let's go for this one. Haven's Last Redoubt. If I do that, will I win? Because once I've won this, then I can do a couple more skirmish games. I might even have a go. Because Alphabet Cat says he was going to play Familiaris herself. I might even have a go. Oh, this is Seaton's Clutch. If you've played Supreme Commander, you'll recognise Seaton's Clutch. So here's me. You know. Do I have any factories? Is that my factory? No, it's not. So let's have a factory first off. Oh.
Warzone active. War zone paused.
And they're all
War zone active.
building the disco rave party. It's not the buzzsaw, it's the disco
War
rave
zone
party.
paused.
Right, so we got a lot of let's do a patrol from there to there, like so. You're all patrolling. Actually, if I go here and then I say your orders just to patrol this area, like so. Units will have mariners, as they call them. Your orders just go there, and then patrol, 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 like so.
War zone active. War zone paused.
Oh, what's that? You want battleships? Yes, me want battleship.
War zone active.
Let me just double check if I've got any more of this. No, that's your one and only.
War zone active. War zone paused.
I need a lot of everything. Yeah. Let's get a lot of everything, shall we? Defense. A chainsaw, probably need one of those. An area shield. Oh, I can build area shields. That makes a big difference. Yeah, I'll have some of that. Yeah, area shields. Alright, we're getting somewhere.
War zone active. War zone paused.
Hmm. 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 Despite the Lend-Lease program, I might lose. Unless I do. Let's see. Air transports, no. No. Flying bomb scout, that's what I want. So I'll do that, and then we'll do some of those, and then we'll do a lot more of those, and then one of those. And one of those. I should make it two of those. Right, now I've done that, let's go ahead and... Oh, what's this? Instant building? Yeah, I think I'll have a bit of that.
War zone paused.
Now, problem with instant building is it makes everything, comes out very fast, but only with very little in the way of, what's the word I'm looking for? Health. So it's not a problem because we are going to supplement that with, we're going to supplement it. With caretakers everywhere, and they're going to help just keep everything in tip-top condition. You see, and we're going to have a lot of caretakers here, like so. Some caretakers there, bit there, bit there. Yep. Like that. There we go. Now you build me one of everything. And likewise you do the same. power.
paused.
Right.
War zone active. War
Oh,
zone paused.
you know what? Yeah, I think I got enough of those now.
War zone active. War zone paused. War zone active. War zone paused.
So now, orders. Yep, you're going to be here like so. Units.
War zone active. War zone paused.
Let's go ahead and just do that like so. And then
War zone active. War zone paused.
where can I build this? Right, do that and then do that there, like so.
War zone paused.
Let's see, what else can I use? Oh yeah, torpedo launchers. We'll have a few of those. A special, radar tower, anti-nukes, disco rove party. So I've still got just the crappy normal radar. But that's okay, a lot of them will help.
War zone. War zone paused.
Let's go with some specials as well. Let's have, oh, anti-nuke can only be built on ground, right, okay.
War zone active. War zone paused.
Should have some anti-nukes up.
War zone active.
Oh well, there's the nuke. go. Get those doing something. Oh, yeah. So I want them all to go there. So now they're going to try and land. You know what would make everything a lot better is if I had, if I paused the game, took a breather, and then went, "What the hell am I doing? I don't actually know." So let's go ahead, pause the game, right? So we've done that. Now we'll go ahead and build some energy pylons, yeah. Then we're going to go ahead and build yet another factory, like so. And we're going to supplement it with caretakers, and then another factory. We're going to build it like so, and then we'll have energy pylons, yeah, and then we're going to have factories. We shall have the amphibious bots, and we shall have the rover assembly, and we shall have the shield bot. Where's my tanks? I had tanks in the other one. Well, what, don't get tanks in this one? Was there like a... Why is there limitation existing in this? I don't know. None of this makes sense to me. And that's not a Krogoth. I can't believe it's not Krogoth. Eat laser beams. Yeah. Take that, lag. Well, that just destroyed a significant portion of my fleet, my air wing. But that's okay. The important thing is, I'm killing a lot of them. That's it. Saturate the area. It'd be nice if I could have bombers in this. But you make do with what you got. And that's there's the commander. I've got 7 idle constructors. Well, they can be unidle, repairing one another. Sign just hit that, but it didn't kill it. These are very agile, these battleships. Right, so that one and that one. That and that. Is that it? I think that's it for factory. Orders are going to be, you just attack move to there, then attack move to there, and there. Right, so units. But not that one. And likewise you. One of everything, like that. Yeah, you're fine. And you. Like so. Oh, what a nice lot of units we got pouring out. Still got 3 idle. You guys are idle, right? There you go, build that, like so. And in addition to that, we're going to have some radar towers, like so. so I can find out where the last of them are. The last of them are? Yeah. Find the last of them. Oh, that artillery certainly does the job. So really it's just a case of defend the place until you got this artillery up. So I think this is the last of them. Nope, there's still a little bit here. Now what am I supposed to do with those? I could nuke it, or, you know what? What on earth was that? Oh, that's what it is. So you can't attack it, so just... Oh, you're here as well. Well, the sign went boom. Large power plant that is hazardous. Victory! Huzzah! Right. And... yeah, well, it's not exactly victory because I've still got all the other stuff to deal with. Oh gosh, you actually have to kill them all! You can't just be like, oh, well done, you got to the end. No, you still got stuff to do. So there's... oh, right, okay, let's just get through it. You know what? I'm going to have some more Sword of the Dawn.
It was Bouchard. His arms
So let's enjoy that.
on a great frame of whalebone.
Since the rockets curve for the air, rogues are a bit worse at hitting mobile targets than our skirmishers. Outrange most of...
pirates. He was pale and his naked body was covered in sweat.
Active.
He was
War zone
evidently in
paused.
great pain, but his lips were pressed grimly together. On his torso, strange symbols had been painted, and there were similar markings on his cheeks. His muscles strained as he struggled to free himself from the cords biting into his ankles and wrists, but he was securely bound. As Daverk made a movement to spring forward, Hawkmoon restrained him. "No," he whispered. "Follow them. We might have a better chance to save him later." They let the rest of the procession pass, and then crept after it. It moved slowly on until it entered a wide square lit by a great beacon glowing over the doorway of a tall building of strange asymmetrical architecture, which seemed to have been formed naturally out of some glassy volcanic stuff. It was an ominous construction. "The Temple of Batak Sharandium, without question," Hawkmoon murmured. "I wonder why they take him there." "Let us find out," Daverk said as the procession filed into the temple. Together they darted across the square and crouched in the shadows near the door. It was half open. Apparently no attempt had been made to guard it. Perhaps the pirates believed that no one would dare enter such a place unless it was their right. Looking about him to see if they were observed, Hawkmoon crept toward the door and pushed it slowly open. It was in a dark passage. From round a corner came a reddish glow and the sound of chanting. Daverk close behind him. Hawkmoon began to move down the corridor. Hawkmoon paused before he reached the corner. A strange smell was in his nostrils, a disgusting smell that was at once familiar and unfamiliar. He shuddered and took a step back. Daverk's face wrinkled in nausea. "Oh, what is it?" Hawkmoon shook his head. "Something about it. The smell of blood, perhaps, yet not just blood." Daverk's eyes were wide as he looked at Hawkmoon. It seemed that he was about to suggest that they go no further. Then he squared his shoulders and took a stronger grip on his sword.
How come that Shieldbot factory is smaller than this Shieldbot factory? What's up with that? Oh, it's this parallel unit production.
And making him grin.
Oh,
But he followed Daverk's action
that's why.
and unwound his own scarf and placed it to his face. Then they moved forward again, turning the corner of the passage. The light grew brighter, a rosy radiance not unlike the colour of fresh blood. It emanated from a doorway at the far end of the corridor, seeming to pulse to the rhythm of the chanting, which now grew louder and held a note of terrible menace. The stench, too, grew worse as they advanced. Once a figure crossed the space from which the pulsing radiance poured. Hawkmoon and Daverk stood stock still, but were unseen. The silhouette vanished, and they continued to advance. Just as the stench assailed their nostrils, so the chanting began to affect their ears. There was something weirdly off-key about it, something that grated on their nerves. With their eyes half blinded by the rosy light, it seemed that all their senses were under attack at once. But still they pressed on, until they stood only a foot or two from the entrance. They stared and they shuddered. The hall was roughly circular, but with a roof it varied enormously. In this it resembled the outward appearance of the building, seeming to be less artificial than organic, rising and falling in a purely arbitrary way as far as Hawkmoon could tell. All the glassy walls reflected the rosy radiance, so that the whole scene was stained red. The light came from a place high in the roof, and it drew Hawkmoon's wincing gaze upward. He recognized it immediately, recognized the thing hanging there, dominating the hall. It was, without doubt, the thing that, with his dying breath, Mygan had sent him here to find. "The Sword of the Dawn," whispered Daverk. "The foul thing can have no part in our destiny, surely." Hawkmoon's face was grim. He shrugged. "That is not what we are here to take. He is what we have come for." And he pointed. Below the sword were stretched a dozen figures.
Auto assist, that's what I want.
Arranged in a semicircle. Not all the men and women on the floors were dead, but most were dying. Daverk turned his face away from the sight, but then his expression, one of purest horror, forced him to look back. "By the rooster," he gasped. "It's barbaric." Veins had been cut in the naked bodies, and from those veins the lifeblood pumped slowly. The wretches on the bone frames were being bled to death. Those who lived had faces twisted in anguish, and their struggles weakened gradually as their blood dripped into the pit below them, a pit that had been carved from the obsidian rock. It was a pit, too, in which things moved, rising to the surface to lap at the fresh blood.
Hang on, I'm trying to hear the damn story here.
Dark shapes moving in the deep pool of blood. How deep was the pool? How many thousands had died to fill it? What peculiar properties did the pool contain so that the blood did not congeal? Around the pool were clustered the pirate lords of Starvel, chanting and swaying, their faces lifted up to the sword of the dawn. Immediately below the sword, his body straining on the frame, Bouchard hung. There was a knife in Valjean's hand, and there could be no doubting the use he intended to make of it. Bouchard stared down at him with loathing, and said something Hawkmoon could not hear. The knife glistened as if already wet with blood. The chanting grew louder, and Valjean's hollow tones could be heard through it. Sword of the dawn, in which the spirit of our God and ancestor dwells. Sword of the dawn, which made Batak Gerandian invincible, and won us all we have. Sword of the dawn, which makes the dead come alive, causes the living to remain living, which draws its light from the lifeblood of men. Sword of the dawn, accept this our latest sacrifice, and continue to know that you shall be worshipped for all time while you stay in the temple of Batak Gerandian. Then Starvel shall never fall. Take this thing, this enemy of ours, this upstart. Take this Paul Bouchard of that coarse caste who call themselves merchants. Bouchard spoke again, his lips writhing, but his voice could not be heard above the hysterical chanting of the other pirate lords. The knife began to move toward Bouchard's body, and Hawkmoon could not restrain himself. The battle cry of his ancestors came automatically to his lips, and he screamed the wild bird cry and voiced the words, "Hawkmoon, Hawkmoon."
Hawkmoon.
And he dashed forward,
Hawky, hawky, Hawkmoon.
and the noisome pit and its terrible denizens, the frames on which the dead and dying were stretched below the shining, awesome sword. Hawkmoon, Hawkmoon.
Hawkmoon.
Five lords turned, their chanting over. Valjean's eyes widened in rage, and he cast back his robe to reveal a sword that was the twin to the one Hawkmoon carried. He cast the knife into the pit of blood and drew his blade. Fool! It is a truth that no stranger who enters Batak's temple ever leaves until his body is drained of its blood. It is your body will bleed tonight, Valjean, cried Hawkmoon, and he struck at his enemy. But suddenly there were 20 men blocking his way to Valjean, 20 blades against his one. He lashed at them in fury, his throat clogged with the dreadful stench, his eyes dazzled by the light from the sword, catching glimpses of Bouchard struggling in his bonds. He stabbed and a man died. He slashed and another staggered back into the pit to be dragged down by whatever dwelt there. He
Wait.
hacked and another pirate lost a hand.
I can build a
Now
disco
there were
rave
2
party in
men
any
well,
map
and
I'm
they
in.
held the pirates
Okay,
at bay.
that's a nice thing to
For a
carry
while
over.
it seemed their fury would carry them through all the pirates to Bouchard and save him. Hawkmoon hacked his way into the group and managed to reach the edge of the terrible blood-filled pit, tried to cut Bouchard's bonds while he fought off the pirates at the same time.
Now,
But
attack.
then his foot slipped on the edge of the pool, and he sank into it up to his ankle. He felt something touch his foot, something sinuous and disgusting. He withdrew as fast as he could, and found his arms clutched by pirates. He flung back his head and called, "I'm sorry, Bouchard. I was impetuous, but there was no time, no time." "You should not have followed me," Bouchard cried in misery. "Now you too shall suffer my fate, and feed the monsters of the pit. Oh, you should not have followed me."
That's it,
Hawkmoon."
gunship, come on.
Chapter 10. A friend from the shadows. I am afraid, friend Bouchard, that your generosity was wasted on us.
It's the woman that says chapters. Oh,
Even in this predicament, Javert could not resist the irony.
that's all she's going to say.
Hawkmoon was spread-eagled on either side of Bouchard, Two of the dead sacrificial victims had been cut down, and they had replaced them. Below, the black things rose and dived restlessly in a pool of blood. Above, the light from the sword of the dawn cast a red glow throughout the hall, cast a glow upon the upturned, expectant faces of the pirate lords, upon Valjean's face as his brooding eyes stared with a kind of triumph at their stripped bodies, which, like Bouchard's, had been daubed with peculiar symbols. There were strange popping noises below as the creatures in the pit swam about in the blood, waiting, no doubt, for the fresh blood to fall into their pool. Hawkmoon shuddered and barely restrained himself from vomiting. His head ached, and his limbs felt weak and incredibly painful.
And once you're done with that, go there.
His home and his efforts to wage war on the Dark Empire. Now he would never see his wife again, never breathe the air of the Camargue, never aid in the
20
downfall of
rogues.
Bretagne, should that time ever come. And he had lost all that in a vain effort to save a stranger, a man he hardly knew, whose fight was remote and unimportant compared with the fight against the Dark Empire. Now it was too late to consider those things, for he was going to die. He would die in a terrible way, bled like a pig, feeling his strength ebbing from him with every pulse of his heart.
Come on,
Valjean
build those rogues.
smiled. You do not call out a bold battle cry now, my slave friend. You seem silent. Have you nothing to ask me? Would you not beg for your life? Beg
Haven't
to be
won in
made
10
my
minutes,
slave
never
again?
mind.
Do you not apologize for sinking my ship? For
Don't I have
turning
20
my name,
rogues?
for
Right.
insulting me? Hawkmoon spat at him. Valjean gave a slight shrug. I wait for a new knife. When that is brought and properly pressed, then I shall slit your veins here and there, making sure that you die very slowly, that you will be able to see your blood feeding the ones below. Your bloodless corpses will be sent
Nice.
to the mayor of Nali, Bouchard's uncle, if I'm not mistaken, as evidence that we of Starvel do not expect to be
Well,
disobeyed.
I've unlocked a rocket launcher.
A pirate came through the hall and kneeled at Valjean's feet, offering him a long, sharp knife. Valjean accepted it, and the pirate backed away.
So I'll go to my...
Valjean now murmured words over the knife, looking often
Yeah, let's
up
have
at
that
the sword
then.
of the dawn.
That should be a good
Then
combo.
he took the knife in his right hand and raised
So
it
what's
until
next?
its tip was almost touching Hawkmoon's groin. Now we shall begin again, said Valjean, and slowly he started to chant the litany Hawkmoon had heard earlier. Hawkmoon tasted bile in his mouth as he tried to break free of the cords that bound him.
Oh, got
The
hovercraft.
words droned
Yeah,
on.
that's nice.
The chanting rose in volume and in hysterical pitch. Sword of the dawn, which makes the dead come alive, causes the living to remain living. The tip of the knife stroked Hawkmoon's thigh, which draws its light from the lifeblood of men. Absently, Hawkmoon wondered if, indeed, the rosy sword did derive its light in some peculiar way from blood. The knife touched his knee, and he shuddered again, cursing at Valjean, struggling wildly in the bonds. Know that you shall
Oh,
be
I've already
worshipped
got
for all
radar.
time. Suddenly, Valjean paused in his chanting and gasped, looking beyond Hawkmoon to a spot above his head. Hawkmoon craned his neck back and gasped too. The sword of the dawn was descending from the roof. It came slowly, and then Hawkmoon could see that it was hung in a kind of web of metallic ropes, and there was something else in the web
Disco
now,
rave party.
the figure of a man. The man wore a long helmet that hid all his face. His armour and trappings were all black and golden, and at his side...
Is
he
it the
bore a
warrior in
huge
jet and
broadsword.
gold?
Hawkmoon could not
I
believe
think
it.
it is.
He recognized the man, if man it was. "The warrior in jet and gold," he cried. "At your service," said a sardonic voice from within the helm. Valjean snarled with rage and flung the knife at the warrior in jet and gold. It clattered on his armour and fell into the pool. The warrior hung by one gauntleted hand to the pommel of the sword of the dawn, and carefully cut at the thongs holding Hawkmoon's wrists. "You desecrate our most holy object," Valjean said unbelievingly. "Why are you not punished? Our god Batak Gerandium will have vengeance. The sword is his. It contains his spirit." "I know better," said the warrior. "The sword is Hawkmoon's, The rune staff saw fit once to use your ancestor Batak Gerandium for his purpose, giving him power over this rosy blade. But now you have lost the power, and Hawkmoon here has it. I do not understand you, Valjean said, baffled. And who are you? Where do you come from? Could you be Batak Gerandian? I could be, murmured the warrior. I could be many things, many men. Hawkmoon prayed that the warrior would be finished in time. Valjean would not remain so dazed forever. He clung to the frame as his wrists came free, took the knife the warrior handed him, began gingerly to cut at the thongs binding his ankles.
After all enemy factories build 20 scalpels.
This is impossible. A nightmare. He turned to his fellow pirates.
And win in 15 minutes.
Too, the man who hangs from our sword? They nodded dumbly. One of them began to run back toward the entrance of the hall. I'll fetch men to aid us. Hawkmoon sprang for the nearest pirate lord and grasped him by the throat. The man cried out, tried to wrench Hawkmoon's hands away, but Hawkmoon bent his head back until the neck snapped, swiftly drew the sword from the corpse's scabbard and let the body drop. There he stood, naked in the glow from the great sword, while the warrior in jet and gold cut at the bonds of his friends. Valjean backed away, his eyes disbelieving. It cannot be. It cannot be. Now Daberk swung down to stand beside Hawkmoon. Then Bouchard joined him. Both were unarmed and naked. Nonplussed by their leader's indecision, the other pirates made no move. Behind the naked trio, the warrior in jet and gold swung on the great sword, dragging it nearer to the floor. Valjean screamed and grabbed for the blade, wrenching it from its web of metal. It is mine by right. The warrior in jet and gold shook his head. It is Hawkmoon's by right. Valjean clutched the sword to him. He shall not have it. Destroy them. Now men were rushing into the hall bearing brands, and the pirate lords drew their swords, began to advance on the four who stood by the pool. The warrior in jet and gold drew his own great blade and swept it before him like a scythe, driving the pirates back, killing several. Take up their swords, he told Bouchard and Daberk. Now we must fight. Bouchard and Daberk did as the warrior instructed, and, following behind him, pushed forward. But now it seemed that 1,000 men filled the hall. They had gleaming eyes which lusted for their lives. You must take that sword from Valjean, Hawkmoon, shouted the warrior above the din of battle. Take it, or we shall all perish. Again they were pressed back to the edge of the bloody pit, and behind them there came a slobbering sound. Hawkmoon darted a look into the pit and cried out in horror, "They are rising from the pool!" And now the creatures swam toward the edge, and Hawkmoon saw that they were like the tentacled
take
creature
15
that
minutes
had
to build
encountered
that.
in the forest, but smaller. Evidently they were of the same breed, brought here centuries before by Valjean's ancestors, gradually adapting from an environment of water to an environment of human blood. He felt a tentacle touch his naked flesh, and he shuddered in cold terror. The peril at his back gave him extra strength, and he drove with all his might at the pirates, seeking out Valjean, who stood nearby, clutching at the sword of the dawn which engulfed him in
You're
its
going
weird
there now.
red radiance. Seeing his danger, Valjean moved his hand to the hilt of the sword, called out something and waited expectantly. But what
Let's
he
do that.
expected to happen did not occur, and he gasped, running at Hawkmoon with the sword raised high. Hawkmoon sidestepped, blocked the blow and staggered, half blinded by the light. Valjean screamed and swung the rosy sword again. Hawkmoon ducked beneath the swing and brought his own blade in, catching Valjean in the shoulder. With a great bewildered cry, Valjean struck again, and again his blow was avoided by the naked man. Valjean paused, studying Hawkmoon's face, his expression one of mingled terror and astonishment. "How can it be?" he murmured. "How can it be?" Hawkmoon laughed then. "Do not ask me, Valjean, for all this is as much a mystery to me as it is to you. But I was told to take your sword, and take it I shall." And with that He aimed another thrust at Valjean, which the pirate lord deflected with a sweeping motion of the sword of the
9
dawn.
minutes.
Now Valjean's back was toward the pit, and Hawkmoon
7
saw that the
minutes.
thing's blood
Oh,
streaming
we're getting
down
there.
their scaly sides
We are getting
were
there.
beginning to crawl onto the floor. Hawkmoon drove the
6
pirate
minutes.
lord further and further toward the dreadful creatures. He saw a tentacle reach out and catch Valjean's leg, heard the man scream in fear and try to hack at the tentacle with his blade. A friend from the shadows. Hawkmoon stepped forward then, aimed a blow at Valjean's face with his fist, and with his other hand wrenched the sword from the pirate lord's hand. Then he watched grimly as Valjean was dragged slowly into the pool. Valjean stretched out his hands to Hawkmoon. "Save me, please save me, Hawkmoon." But Hawkmoon's eyes were bleak, and he did nothing, simply stood with his hands on the pommel of the sword of the dawn, as Valjean was dragged closer and closer to the pit of blood. Valjean said nothing further, but covered his face with his hands as first one leg and then the other was drawn into the pool. There came a long, despairing scream, and Valjean disappeared beneath the surface of the pool.
Ooh, nasty.
Hawkmoon turned now, hefting the heavy sword and marvelling at the light which shone from it. He took it in both hands and looked to see how his friends were faring. They stood in a tight group, fighting off scores of enemies, and it was plain that they would have been overwhelmed by now had it not been for the fact that the pool was disgorging its terrible contents. The warrior saw that he had the blade and cried out something, but Hawkmoon could not hear it. He was forced to bring the sword up to defend himself as a knot of pirates came at him, drove them back and cut through them in an effort to join his friends. The things from the pit were crowding the edge now, slithering over the floor, and Hawkmoon realized that their position was virtually hopeless, for they were trapped between a horde of swordsmen on one hand and the creatures of the pool on the other. Again the warrior in jet and gold tried to cry out, but still Hawkmoon could not hear him. He battled on, desperately trying to reach the warrior, hacking off a head here, a limb there, and slowly coming closer and closer to his mysterious ally. The warrior's voice sounded again, and this time Hawkmoon heard the words. "Call for them," he boomed. "Call for the Legion of the Dawn, Hawkmoon, or we're lost." Hawkmoon frowned. "What do you mean?" "It is your right to command the Legion. Summon them. In the name of the Runestaff man, summon them." Hawkmoon parried a thrust and cut down the man who attacked him. The blade's light seemed to be fading, but it could have been that it was now in competition with the scores of torches blazing in the hall. "Call for your men, Hawkmoon," cried the warrior in jet and gold desperately. Hawkmoon shrugged and disbelievingly cried out, "I summon the Legion of the Dawn." Nothing happened. Hawkmoon had expected nothing. He had no faith in legends, as he had said before. But then he noticed that the pirates were screaming, and that new figures had appeared from nowhere, strange figures who blazed with rosy light, who struck about them ferociously, chopping down the pirates. Hawkmoon drew a deep breath and wondered at the sight. The newcomers were dressed in highly ornamental armor, somehow reminiscent of a past age. They were armed with lances, decorated with tufts of dyed hair, with huge notched clubs covered with ornate carvings, and they howled and shouted and killed with incredible ferocity, driving many pirates from the hall within moments. Their bodies were brown, their faces covered in paint from which huge black eyes stared, and from their throats came a strange moaning dirge. The pirates fought back desperately, striking down the shining warriors. But as a man died, his
And you're
body
finished
would
with that,
vanish,
but
and a new
it's
warrior
not
would
part
appear
of
from
the
nowhere. Hawkmoon
it's not
tried
part
to
of the
see where
grid.
they came from, but he was never able to do so. He would turn his head, and when he looked back, a new warrior would be standing there. Panting, Hawkmoon joined his friends. The naked bodies of Bouchard and Daverque were cut in a dozen places, but not badly. They stood and watched as the Legion of the Dawn slaughtered the pirates. "These are the soldiers who serve the sword," said the warrior in jet and gold. With them,
Great, so I can
because
build
it
it,
suited the
but I
Runestaff scheme
can't
of things,
power it.
Valjean's ancestor made himself feared throughout Narline and its surround. But now the sword turns against Valjean's people to take from them what it gave them. Hawkmoon felt something touch his ankle, turned and shouted in horror. The things from the pit, I had forgotten them. He hacked at the tentacle. Instantly, there were a dozen of the shining warriors between him and the monsters. The tufted lancers rose and fell, the clubs battered, and the monsters tried to retreat, but the soldiers of the dawn would not let them retreat. They surrounded them, stabbing and hacking, until all that remained was a black mess, staying in the floor of the wall. It is done, Bouchard said incredulously. We are the victors. The power of Starbell is broken at last. He stooped and picked up a brand. Come, friend Hawkmoon, let us lead your ghostly warriors forward into the city. Let us kill all we find. Let us burn. Aye, Hawkmoon began, but the warrior in jet and gold shook his head. No, it is not for killing pirates that the Legion is yours, Hawkmoon. It is yours so that you may do the Runestaff's work. Hawkmoon hesitated. The warrior placed a hand on Bouchard's shoulder. Now that most of the pirate lords are dead and Valjean destroyed, there will be nothing to stop you and your men returning to Starbell to finish the work we began tonight. But Hawkmoon and his blade are needed for greater things. He must leave soon. Hawkmoon
Can't attack.
Come then. I am grateful to you,
Needs
warrior in
energy.
jet and gold, for what you have done to aid me. But I would remind you that I would not be here at all had it not been for your schemings and those of dead Maigan of Slandar. I need to return home, to Castle Brass, and my beloved. I am my own man, warrior. I will decide my fate. And then the warrior in jet and gold laughed. You are still an innocent, Dorian Hawkmoon. You are the Runestaff's man, believe me. You thought you came to this temple merely to help a friend who needed you. But it is the Runestaff's way to work thus. You would not have dared the pirate lords had you simply been trying to get the Sword of the Dawn, in whose legend you did not believe, but you did dare them to rescue Bouchard here. The web the Runestaff weaves is a complicated web. Men are never aware of the purposes of their actions where the Runestaff is concerned. Now you must continue on the second part of your mission in Amaret. You must journey north. You can go around the coast, or Bouchard, I am sure, will lend you
More
a ship,
energy.
and find Denark, the city of the great good ones, who will need your aid. They will find proof that the Runestaff exists. I'm not interested in mysteries, warrior. I want to know what has become of my wife and friends. Tell me, do we exist in the same era? Aye, said the warrior. This time is concurrent with the time you left in Europe. But as you know, Castle Brass exists elsewhere. I know that, Hawkmoon frowned thoughtfully. Well, warrior, perhaps I will agree to take Bouchard's ship and go on to Denark. Perhaps. The warrior nodded. Come, he said. Let us leave this unclean place and make our way back to Narleen. There we can discuss with Bouchard the matter of a ship. Bouchard smiled. Anything, Hawkmoon, that I have is yours, for you have done much for me and the whole of my city. You saved my life, and you were responsible for destroying Narleen's age-old enemies. You may have 20 ships if you wish. Hawkmoon was thinking deeply. He had it in mind to deceive the warrior in jet and gold.
Chapter 11, The Parting.
And?
Bouchard escorted them next afternoon to the quayside. The citizens were celebrating. A force of
So I don't
soldiers
have anti-submarine
Starbell
hovercraft. Well, that's
routed out every
annoying.
last pirate. Bouchard put his hand on Hawkmoon's arm. I wish that you would stay, friend Hawkmoon. We shall be having celebrations for a week yet, and you and your friends should be here. It will be sad for me, celebrating without your company, for you are the true heroes of Narleen, not I. We were lucky, Captain Bouchard. It was our good fortune that our fates were linked. You are rid of your enemies, and we have obtained that which we sought. Hawkmoon smiled. We must leave now. Bouchard nodded. If you must, you must. He looked frankly at Hawkmoon and grinned. I do not suppose that you still
Kill it.
believe I am entirely convinced
that it?
by your story of a scholar relative interested in that sword you now wear. Hawkmoon laughed. No, but on the other hand, Captain, I can give you no better story. I do not know why I had to find the sword. He patted the scabbard
Right,
that
there
now
we go.
held the sword of
Next.
the dawn. The warrior in jet and gold here says that it is all part of a
Ooh,
larger destiny.
okay.
Yet I'm an unwilling slave to that destiny.
Radar
All I
jammer
seek
could be
is
nice.
A little love, a little peace, and to be revenged upon those who have
Increases
ravaged
build
my
power.
homeland.
Yep.
Yet here I am on a continent thousands of miles away from where
There
I
we go.
desire to be, off to seek another legendary object, and reluctantly. Perhaps we shall all understand these matters in time. Bouchard looked at him seriously. I think you serve a greater purpose.
God, it's a
Hawkmoon.
nice day out here.
I
What am
think
I
your
doing
destiny
spending
is
into...
a
I know
noble
what
one.
I'm doing here.
Hawkmoon laughed. And yet I do not find for a noble destiny
Ah,
merely a
Buckley's
secure
probably
one.
gone.
Perhaps,
Never mind.
said Bouchard. My
I'll have
friend,
to figure out
my
myself.
best ship is prepared for you and well provisioned. Narlene's finest sailors have begged to sail with you, and now man her.
Let's have a look.
Good luck in your quest, Hawkmoon. And you
Got
too,
gunships,
Deverk.
got shipyard.
Deverk coughed into his hand. If Hawkmoon is an unwilling servant of this greater destiny, then what does that make me? A great fool, perhaps. I am unwell. I have a chronically poor constitution, and yet find myself dragged about the world in the service of this mythical rune staff. Still, it kills time, I suppose. Hawkmoon smiled, then turned almost anxiously to mount the gangplank of the ship. The warrior in jet and gold moved impatiently. Danark, Hawkmoon, he said. You must seek the rune staff itself in Danark. Aye, said Hawkmoon, I heard you, warrior. The sword of the dawn is needed in Danark, continued the warrior in jet and gold, and you are needed to wield it. Then I shall do as you desire, warrior, Hawkmoon replied lightly. Do you sail with us? I have other matters to attend to. We shall meet again, doubtless. Doubtless. Deverk coughed and raised his hand. Then farewell, warrior. Thanks for your aid. Thank you for
Thanks
yours,
for your top
replied
left.
the warrior enigmatically. Hawkmoon gave the order for the gangplank to be raised and the oars to be unshipped. Soon the ship was pulling out of the bay and into the open sea. Hawkmoon watched the figures of Bouchard and the warrior in jet and gold become smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right, there's a retreat
and then
zones.
he turned and smiled at Deverk. Well, Deverk, do you know where we are going? To Danark, I take it, Deverk replied innocently. To Europe, Deverk. I care not for this destiny. I wish to see my wife again. We are going to sail across the sea, Deverk, for Europe. There we may use our rings to take us back to Castle Brass.
Tell them
I
to
will see
retreat as well.
Iselda again. Deverk said nothing, merely turned his head to look upward as the white sails billowed and the ship began to gather speed. What do you say to that, Deverk? Hawkmoon asked with a grin, slapping his friend on the back. Deverk shrugged. I say that it would be a welcome rest to spend some time in Castle Brass again. There is something about your tone, friend, something a trifle sardonic. Hawkmoon frowned. What is it? Deverk gave him a sidelong glance that matched his tone. Maybe I'm not as sure as you, Hawkmoon, that this ship will find its way to Europe. Perhaps I have a greater respect for the rune staff. You believe in such legends? Why, Amarek was supposed to be a place of godlike people. It was far from that, eh? I think you insist on the rune staff's non-existence too much. I think your anxiety to see Iselda must influence you considerably. Possibly. Deverk stared out to sea. Time will tell us how strong the rune staff is. Hawkmoon gave him a puzzled look before he shrugged, walking away down the deck. Deverk smiled, shaking his head as he watched his friend. Then he turned his attention to the sails, wondering privately if he would ever see Castle Brass again.
Is that it? That's it. Right, let's do this mission and then bugger off for a bit.
The Dragon in the Sword. For Minerva, the noblest Roman. Rose of all roses.
Hey, no. That's a new story. That's
His main attention.
so. What comes afterwards? History of the Rune Staff.
The fourth story of Hawkmoon, the Rune Staff.
That's what I want.
Nick Turner.
Book 1.
Tacticians and warriors of ferocious courage and skill, careless of their own lives, corrupt of soul and mad of brain, haters of all that was not in decay, wielders of
Chickens.
power without morality, force without justice, the barons of Grand Bretagne carried the standard of their King Emperor Huon across the continent of Europe and made that continent their property, carried the banner to west and east, to other continents to which they also laid claim, and it seemed that no force, either natural or supernatural, was strong enough to halt the insane and deadly tide. Indeed, none now resisted them at all. With chuckling pride and cold contempt, they demanded whole nations as tribute, and the tribute was paid. In all the subdued lands few hoped. Of those fewer dared express hope, and among those few hardly a single soul possessed the courage to murmur the name symbolizing that hope. The name was Castle Brass. Those who spoke the name understood its implications, for Castle Brass was the only stronghold to remain unvanquished by the warlords of Grand Bretagne, and Castle Brass housed heroes, men who had fought the Dark Empire, whose names were loathed and hated by the brooding Baron Meliadus, Grand Constable of the Order of the Wolf, commander of the Army of Conquest, for it was known that Baron Meliadus fought a private feud with those heroes, particularly the legendary Dorian Hawkmoon von Curlen, who was married to the woman Meliadus desired, Iselda, daughter of Count Brass of Castle Brass. But Castle Brass had not defeated the armies of Grand Bretagne. It had merely evaded them, disappearing by means of a strange, ancient crystal machine into another dimension of the earth, where those heroes, Hawkmoon, Count Brass, William d'Abert, Oledan of the Bulgar Mountains, and their handful of Camargian men-at-arms, now sheltered, and most folk felt that the heroes of the Camargue had deserted them forever. They did not blame them, but their hope waned fainter with every day that passed, and the heroes did not return. In that other Camargue, sundered from its original by mysterious dimensions of time and space, Hawkmoon and the rest were faced with fresh problems, for it seemed that the sorcerer scientists of the
good,
Dark
you're
Empire
retreating.
were
Excellent.
close to discovering means either of breaking through into their dimension or of recalling them. The enigmatic warrior in jet and gold had sent Hawkmoon and d'Aberc on a quest to a strange new land to seek the legendary Sword of the Dawn, which would be of aid to them in their struggle, and which would in turn aid the Rune Staff, which, the warrior insisted, Hawkmoon, manifestation of the Champion Eternal, served. Having won the Rosy Sword, Hawkmoon was then informed he must travel by sea around the coast of Amarek to the city of Denav, where the services of the blade were required. But Hawkmoon demurred. He was anxious to return to the Camargue and see his beautiful wife Iselda again. Initially supplied by Bouchard of Nalin, Hawkmoon set sail for Europe against the dictates of the warrior in jet and gold, who had told him that his duty to the Rune Staff, that mysterious artifact, said to control all human destinies, was greater than his duty to his wife, friends, and adopted homeland. With the foppish William d'Aberc by his side, Hawkmoon headed out to sea. Meanwhile, in Grand Bretagne, Baron Meliadus fumed at what he considered his King Emperor's foolishness in not allowing him to pursue his vendetta against Castle Brass. When Shenegar Trott, Count of Sussex, seemed to be favoured over him by a King Emperor growing steadily more mistrustful of his unstable conquistador, Meliadus became rebellious, pursuing his prey to the wastes of Yell, losing them, and returning with redoubled hatred to Londres, there to scheme not only against the heroes of Castle Brass, but also against his immortal ruler, Huon, the King Emperor. The High History of the Runestaff.
Chapter 1. An episode in King Huon's throne room.
The vast doors parted, and Baron Meliadus, but lately returned from Yell, walked into the throne room of his King Emperor to report his failures and his discoveries. As Meliadus entered the room, whose roof seemed so tall as to be one with the heavens, and whose walls were so distant as to seem to encompass an entire country, his way was blocked by a double line of guards. These guards, members of the King Emperor's own Order of the Mantis, and wearing the great jewelled insect masks belonging to that order, seemed reluctant to let him pass through. Meliadus controlled himself with difficulty, and waited while the ranks drew back to admit him. Then he strode on into the Hall of Blazing Colour, whose galleries were hung with the gleaming banners of Grand Bretain's 500 greatest families, and whose walls were encrusted with a mosaic of precious gems depicting Grand Bretain's might and history, along an aisle made up on either side by 1,000 Mantis warriors, each statue still, towards the throne globe, more than a mile distant. Halfway to the globe, he had based himself in a somewhat peremptory fashion. The solid black sphere seemed to shudder momentarily as Baron Meliadus rose. Then the black became shot through with veins of scarlet and white, which slowly spread through the darker shade until it had vanished altogether. The mixture, like milk and blood, swirled and cleared to reveal a tiny fetus-like shape curled in the center of the sphere. From this twisted figure appeared eyes that were hard, black and sharp, containing no, indeed, an immortal intelligence. This was Huon, the Emperor of Grand Bretagne and the Dark Empire, Grand Constable of the Order of the Mantis, wielder of absolute power over tens of millions of souls, the ruler who would live forever, and in whose name Baron Meliadus had conquered the whole of Europe and beyond. The voice of a golden youth now issued from the throne globe.
Egg
The golden youth
contains
to whom it
metal.
belonged had been dead 1,000 years. Ah, our impetuous Baron Meliadus.
Surface to eggs.
Again,
All right.
Meliadus bowed and murmured, "Your servant, Prince of all." "And what have you to report to us, hasty lord?" "Success, great Emperor, proof of my suspicions. You have found the missing emissaries from Asia Communista." "I regret not, noble sire." Baron Meliadus did not know that it had been in this disguise that Hawkmoon and Aberk had penetrated the capital of the Dark Empire. Only Flana Mykosavar, who had helped them escape, knew that. "Then why are you here, Baron?" "I discovered that Hawkmoon, whom I insist is still the greatest threat to our security, has been visiting our island. I went to Yell, and there found him and the traitor William de Verk, as well as the magician Maigana Slandar. They know the secret of travelling through the dimensions. Baron Meliadus did not mention that they had escaped from him, and before we could apprehend them, they vanished before our eyes. Mighty monarch, if
Not
they
a
can
spice
come and go
patch.
from our land at will, surely it is plain that
I mean,
we
come
can
on,
never be
look,
safe
that's
until
spice,
they are
right?
destroyed.
That is spice.
I would suggest we begin immediately to direct all the efforts of our scientists, of Tarragorn and Callan in particular, to finding these renegades and finishing them. They threaten us from within. Baron Meliadus, what news of the emissaries from Asia Communista? None so far, mighty King Emperor, but a few guerrillas. Baron Meliadus, this empire may contend with, but if our shores are threatened by a force as great, if not greater than our own, by a force, moreover, that is possessed of scientific secrets unknown to us, that we may not survive.
all right.
You see,
Where are they then?
The voice spoke with acid patience. Meliadus frowned. We have
I
no
guess I'll
proof
just build
that such an
radar
invasion
everywhere
is
then.
planned, monarch of the world. Agreed. Neither have we proof, Baron Meliadus, that Hawkwood
here they are.
and his band of terrorists have the powers to do us any great harm. Streaks of ice blue suddenly appeared in the throne globe's fluid. Great King Emperor, give me the time and the resources. We are an expanding empire, Baron Meliadus. We wish to expand still further. It would be pessimistic, would it not, to stand still? That is not our way. We are proud of our influence upon the earth. We wish to extend it. You seem uneager to carry out the principles of our ambition, which is to spread a great,
There you are.
laughing
Right,
terror to the
attack move
corners
there.
of the world. You're becoming small-minded, we fear. But by refusing to counter those subtle forces that might wreck our schemes, Prince of all, we could betray our destiny also. We resent dissension, Baron Meliadus. Your personal hatred of Hawkmoon, and we have heard your desire for Isolde of Brass,
Right,
represent
that's that
dissension.
done.
We have your self-interest at heart, Baron, for if you continue in this course, we shall be obliged to elect another over you, to dismiss you
No,
from our service.
not anymore.
Aye, even to dismiss you from
Right,
your
that's
order.
that's enough of that.
Instinctively, Baron Meliadus has
I was hoping to get through it, but you know